this week's episode, have you ever been forced to do a PE lesson you never wanted to do? And do you know what the 10-10-10 rule is? Before we get into the episode, please give me a cheeky little follow on Instagram, Miss Brightside25, and I'd love for you to give me a follow on TikTok and Facebook too. And I am Miss Brightside25 on them all. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Miss Brightside, the podcast. So, question is, what exactly have I been up to this week? Well, I was elated this week, last week actually, to have finished my veneer journey. I was so proud. I was so pleased. He gave me retainer wires behind my teeth and I was like, yes. I knew fully well the retainers were coming, but he gave me a false sense of security, the dentist, and told me I had to wear them 12 hours a night. I was like, I can go back to snacking. I can go back to a life of drinking tea and coffee. I am drinking it through a straw because of the teeth whitening situation, but anyway, that's not the point. And then this Monday, he took it all back away. I've got to wear my retainers for 22 hours a day again for a minimum of 2 months, even longer. And I've got a juicy ulcer due to the new veneers. I keep calling them veneers. To the new retainers, so that is bringing me joy. What else have I been up to this week? I have also been, doing my little bit of fitness, bobbing around, and while on a walk in Cyfarthfa Park. Now, if you know Cyfarthfa Park, it is a castle. It is beautiful. And it's a old house, basically, but we all call it a castle. It's not officially a castle. And there is a lake. And if you walk around that lake, like 2.5 laps or whatever it is a mile or whatever it is. It's not the point. The point of my story is, while I was on my said walk the other day, I was walking around and I remembered there's like this little stump there of the remains of a bush. There used to be there, right by one of the fishing points. And I went to school in Cyfarthfa Castle many moons ago, and it brought back big old trauma of a PE lesson in year 7. Now, as we all know, I'm back in my little fitness journey. For how long it's going to last, we don't know. But they tormented us, the PE teachers, and I'm going to say they tormented us with cross-country up there, loads of wonderful activities in the beautiful fields of Cyfarthfa Castle. However, one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had in PE, and it still lives with me to this day, is, and I actually laughed when I walked around the lake, being made to run around it. Being made to run around that lake. I think we had to do it twice, maybe once, maybe twice, can't remember. And I remember to this day in year 7, with my little asthma pump, crying. I go around that lake, and by the time I got to the end, I was so out of breath, so out of puff. And everyone used to stop and hide behind this bush to catch our breath. And I laughed because I wish I could tell little old Lisa, who's crying back in the day in year 7, about the trauma of running around the lake. One day you'll be choosing to walk around there to keep your fitness up, which did make me laugh. And then it did make me think of many traumatic PE lessons and why I didn't love them. But anyway, that's a side note. What it then got me on to thinking is, I wanted to know if you'd ever heard of the 10-10-10 rule. I've only really recently learnt it, and it really has helped me change my perspective and my thoughts on things. So what is the 10-10-10 rule, I hear you ask? So I was recently on a course. I'll tell you about that again, but it genuinely has changed my life. And it explained lots and lots of things. However, one of the things that they discussed was the 10-10-10 rule. And I am a massively emotional person. I care a lot about my thoughts and feelings, and I care for people. I wouldn't be in HR and do the job with people if I didn't care about them. And I just care, even just with people I pass in the street or somebody struggling in the shop, I'm that person who stops and go, oh, can I help you? And I'm never going to change. But when you're faced with a really like tough choice in life, whether it's, I don't know, whether to buy a house or not, whether it's to impulse buy something in a shop, whether you've argued with a loved one and you thinking to yourself, I am absolutely tamping fuming raging, boys, as we would say in the valleys. Or whether you're just really annoyed with somebody you work with, there's loads of things, isn't there? And what this 10-10-10 rule has made me do, now, fiery, I fly off the handle, but it has made me stop and think. So it's about making like that choice when you're overwhelmed by a situation. It can be like frustrated, upset, any emotion. And I think back to little Lisa running around that lake. And how did I feel in the 10 minutes after? What was my short-term feelings at that time? My short-term feelings at that time were, I really embarrassed myself in front of all my new friends. This is an absolutely terrible life decision that I made to run with this lake. And I was really upset by it. 10 months after that, I'll probably never remember that PE lesson, but it has stuck with me forever. Trauma, innit? It's fun. But 10 months later, what will I feel like in 10 months' time? So I won't talk about me running the lake because it's not really a good example, but a good example is, let me think of one so I can tell it. I think a good example for me would be arguments. I'm quite an opinionated person, shock horror, and sometimes I really will fight my corner. And I stop and I think to myself sometimes, especially if I've argued with my mum and dad, who I love dearly, but it might be over something like, and this is an actual true example, the Wi-Fi wasn't working, so I needed to go over there to help them. And I was really annoyed when they didn't know that if they turned the Wi-Fi off on their phones, they'd have 4G. And because I was busy and I was stressed, I was like frustrated, and I always like helping them, but I realised I took my anger out on them about something else. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, why don't they know how to do this? This is so frustrating. In 10 months' time, I'll probably have completely forgotten that argument. And in 10 years' time, I'll be like thinking, why did I even bicker and argue about something that was so daft? And the same goes for like your life choices. Like we just talked about mortgages. How do you feel in 10 minutes if you didn't get a mortgage? How will you feel in 10 months? How will you feel in 10 years? But it goes for like your life decisions, your career decisions, and your relationships decisions. And, you know, the main point around me talking about this is it's helped me practically stop and reflect and actually laugh about some of the things I've done recently and calm down, because when you use that 10-minute rule, 10-hour rule, because you could even add extra to it, like your 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 years, 10 months. Because usually, if you've had an argument in 10 days' time, it doesn't really matter. You know, in 10 months' time, it doesn't matter. And, you know, you can just use in so many situations, like an impulse buy. How will you feel if you bought it in 10 minutes' time? How will you feel if you bought it in 10 days' time? And how will you feel? Because I'm quite an impulsive person. And actually, a lot of things I buy end up just in a pile in the corner. And that's why I try now to walk away and think to myself, right, how do I feel 10 days later? Do I still want it? 'Cause most of the time I don't. So I just wondered if anybody had any experience of the 10-10-10 rule. And you can apply it to so many different things. So I just wondered what everybody thought about it. Not that you can answer me back, but especially when I'm super angry, the 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 hours rule, I start to answer. 10 years is a bit far advanced for me. How that makes you feel at that time. And would you change your decision if you knew in 10 years' time it would make a difference to you now? And would it be worth it? Does really make you think, doesn't it? It's only a short one this week. I'm not going to waffle on too much more than this. I just wanted you to understand how life-changing my course was, which I will go through with you again, and how that 10-minute, 10-day, 10-month, 10-hour rule can really help you take the emotion out of some of the situations you might be in. So anyway, wish me luck on my future walks around the lake and have an absolutely amazing week. Thank you so much for listening to me. You don't understand how much it means to me, you guys listening. But more importantly, give us a little cheeky follow on Instagram if I haven't already done it. Miss Brightside25. And remember, see the positives even in the little things. And have an absolutely amazing week.